tendency which we need to understand and try to identify which are the use cases which are unique. For example, staying at home, monitoring remotely, and trying to do a diagnosis is a definite use case. We need to gather our data and keep it very sacred. It's something which we need to understand, and we need to understand because this data does not belong to us. That is something which we need to understand very clearly to begin with. This data belongs to the patient. We are just a fiduciary. We are just keeping it on his behalf, sharing it or trying to make models out of it without permissions and all are bound to lead us into litigations. Is something which we need to be very clear of. But there are a lot of outcome analysis which we can do once we have good data done in the right way, and a lot of research related to the ethics of AI itself. Lastly, we also know that doctors and nurses and even all allied healthcare workers are precious commodities, and they need to schedule and they need to be this thing. AI definitely has a far better way of managing people. The people do not fight when they get DMO duties, and they generally will comply if AI is doing it in a more balanced and good way. Just some pitfalls. You see, ethics change. And if an AI bot or a robot of today were to develop conscious and to look at the Egyptian sculptures, what would it feel? Ye kaise log the? What were they? They were hitting hunters ke saath, they were getting pyramids made, they were getting done this. So what is more important to understand that ethics is something which we have when we flaunt, they change with time. And child labor not too far in the past was legal, by the way, even in our own country. So the ethics of, what are the ethics of AI? So each of these pillars, if we were to extrapolate to AI, we talk of bias. So what is very important to know that in AI, garbage in, garbage out. Suppose I have a huge amount of data. We were just discussing in a light-hearted way the other day with my wife, and we were talking about AI model, which had so much of this thing that it even diagnosed a prostate hypertrophy in a lady. Why? Because it was garbage in data, and he did not know how to apply it. So for example, this is a very typical way. You have to understand the context and apply a particular tool. So this bias is important because when you're taking the data in, you have to be sure that it represents what you're going to eventually use it on. Otherwise, you will have unfair outcomes. The issue of privacy, the concept of human autonomy, sharing data across. I have data and I can make a model without respecting human autonomy is something which we need to be very, very careful of. Transparency. All said and done, when Dr. Vikas showed that particular blind area, he was doing something, he was still having some vision which was through an image. He was not blind really. Whereas in AI, many models are actually totally blind. Even the person who has created the model cannot explain how it is happening. Keep it in mind. It may not, it's after all a black box. It's a black box, which all layers are doing what, it's not easy to explain. Who is accountable? Is the developer accountable? Is the doctor accountable? If there's a software error, who is accountable? We do not have answers, clear-cut answer to this. Would you like to be managed by a machine? That itself is a question. Yeah, for maybe small things, yes, but would you want this decision to be taken like that? What if the AI bot starts showing emotion? How do you face these situations? But more importantly, eventually, who judges what is right? See, eventually, in a generation right now, we are saying that there is a gold standard, and that is a human being. And that human being says that, fair enough, this is reaching so much degree of accuracy. You train the next generation of surgeons who do not have that level of caliber of saying what is right or what is wrong, or maybe the disease agent itself metamorphosizes. Now what happens? Now who gives the gold standard? An AI? Will that be acceptable? So this is something which we need to understand. We simply cannot be under the influence that AI is going to determine and it's more accurate, therefore it is right. Will our jobs get affected? The answer is a resounding yes. It will get affected in many ways. Some of them will be lost. Some of them will be modified. Some of them will definitely have a different way of working. And that same adage which is being used, that those with AI will survive. So this benefits and pitfall, it's not easy to finally come to a conclusion whether it's something which you can translate so easily into clinical practice or not. Because there are certain things which we cannot avoid because it's going to happen. And the best cases are like what you can use in situations what we had just mentioned. There are no easy answers in this. So I'll just give an example, however, just to keep things on a positive side. Electricity, when it was invented, it was a rage. There was a huge amount of problems associated with electricity. And this is a very famous painting from the streets of London titled An Unrestrained Demon, where you can see a lot of people electrocuted and lying along with the dying on the streets, and horse cart carriages just collapsed. And this was telling how electricity, which has now come, is going to become a demon in the world. And now we are all going to die. And this is how cities will soon start looking like. To that extent that they even went ahead and made this particular movie. And if you remember Frankenstein, how was Frankenstein created? With electricity. So electricity was a huge technological leap. And today, if we have computing, if we are sitting here in brightness, it's because of electricity. So it is not necessarily that every technology, when it comes, there's a phobia along with it. There is no doubt in it. We have to be very careful. We simply can't be accepted for the sake of it. But at the same time, we realize that there are huge leaps and bounds. If we can control it in the right way, we can use it. So let us face this future and try to see how we can best use this particular technology in the favor of humankind. Humans are not the most best or supreme of species. We conquered many other species when we discovered fire. We conquered many other species when we had electricity. And we will conquer many other species, but we should not get conquered ourselves by making a technology which we cannot control. So that is something which is important. And I think I'm permitted or not, I'm not sure we can go on for lunch and ask, but I'm okay for any questions, comments, or prompts. And thank you for a very patient listening.
We can have a very short 2 to 5 minutes question session. When my teacher says that, I can't say no to it. Well, sir, you've done it again.
Ashish.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Sajal from Commander Ashish Jain. So I just want to pick your brain about machine dependence amongst surgeons or amongst the doctors. Sir had explained about using the navigation system in doing FES surgeries and skull-based surgeries. While looking on that screen, more focus would be on where the tip of my this is, rather than the actual anatomy which is there. So what do you think will be in the 5 to 7 years down the line when we are doing continuous navigation system? Example is that one example. How do you think will be if I don't have a navigation system for once now? What would be my confidence level then?
So I got your question. So I'll try to, first of all, thanks for this question. I would try to call it as evolution. Human beings are not naturally born to operate, isn't it? For example, when I was a resident, and I can say that because Venki sir is here, he used to tell us how he used to do a mastoid with a chisel and a hammer. He used to tell us that it's the fastest way and it's very effective. And probably he's done many. I could have never developed the confidence or the skill or the ability to do one, because I always started off with a drill. So I would say this is something like a surgical evolution. If the drill fails, I really am not capable of doing it as well with a chisel and a hammer as probably he was. This is something as a part of a chisel, as a this thing. I think to that extent, many of these tools, we will get dependent on them. Again, as I said, these are not natural skills. These are skills which we have learned. These are acquired skills. Now, many of our residents, if you remember when I was here, I used to just jokingly say, whom of you play video games? I used to say, play video games, khelo. Your hand-eye coordination will improve. And one of the reasons is because you see a basic skill, which we felt wasn't that important, like playing a video game, led to probably a better surgical handling when it came to doing single-handed, double-handed FES. I think Vikas also wants to add something. He's asked for the mic, please.
Can I ask a counter question? Can you perform endoscopic sinus surgery without a camera, only with the endoscope, the way Stamberger used to look inside and say, no, sir, that's the end. So whatever you get used to, you become a slave of it. So this is what we are discussing. There's a good part and a bad part. So if I have become too used to navigation system, it will be a handicap if my navigation system does not work. If I'm too used to coblation, I'll be very, I cannot do a complete adenotectomy without a coblation. So this is actually a double-edged sword. It's a great question. The only thing I want to add is that when you are operating, you are still seeing and operating on the monitor. The navigation system is only to reconfirm. That thing which I showed was just a thing to show that I'm not seeing and I'm operating, just to make you understand. Obviously, you never do that.
Okay, yeah, another question, Dr. Rahim.
So just building on that, so the beauty of AI systems is it is not only the operator or the surgeon who is trying to adjust or learn the skill to better master the instrument. The instrument, because if it has AI, it is also trying, it will also adjust to your skill sets. So that means what will happen is as you keep using these systems, the AI-enabled surgical instruments or robots, they will also learn from your experience, like how you are performing, how fast you are, how slow you are. So that means what happens after some time, even the system, it says like, okay, I'm comfortable being used by, say, Brigadier
Yes,
Datta.
I think
So-
that's a very valid point. The systems are adaptive. So these systems will learn and adapt. For example, it does happen with the hearing aid industry, and this is going to happen even more. I don't know if it's good or bad that when a hearing aid can find out that this particular call or this particular person who's speaking is my wife, so you better listen to it immediately. So the hearing aid system should be able to learn that well. But the fact is, definitely these systems are adaptive and they will learn with time. Learning has its paths, there is no doubt in it. But one caveat to this entire thing is that as the next generation gets trained in a particular way, would there be enough good gold standards available, or will the gold standard also come from AI, which is the case when we lose our way? That's the point, because it's black box. You don't know you're creating a gold standard out of a black box. It's all said and done a prediction. Any other? Delvik, sir, would you like to?
They want to digest. Acha, sir, please, sir.
Sir.
First of all, I mentioned it, you went into a lot more details. I think the moot point is, yes, technology is here to stay. We need to accept it. And what technology was good for today perhaps may not be good for tomorrow. Evolution is the key, and technology will evolve. We also need to evolve and adjust. But then to look back is very important, not only forward. So learning from what happened, which sets the benchmarks or the gold standards, will continuously change. The benchmarks will evolve, they will change too. So we need to keep a very, very open mind and be adaptable. And that's the key to being relevant, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Surgeon Lieutenant Mahesh. Sir, regarding the neuro navigation, I sometimes feel it's the other way around. Let's say a surgeon who is trained with operating with the neuro navigation, the extent of surgery and the limit has to go to increase, the expertise increase. Because many times when we do the first and all, especially when you don't have much experience, you are scared of the structures to where limit you are to, because sometimes you don't remove the endo structures leading to incomplete surgery. But someone who operates by neuro navigation is better understanding of the structures, what will happen if you remove the structure. So even if after like doing so many surgeries using neuro navigation, tomorrow if there is no neuro navigation, still you'll have a better expertise and better idea of removing the structures.
It's the way you're trained. Absolutely. It's the evolution, like what was mentioned. It's the way you evolved and trained in that particular way. Absolutely.